Well, Razorback fans, congratulations. Yes, you have a chance to play in the Razorback defensive secondary in a Liberty Bowl against Texas Tech. Not really, but man, at this rate, they may need you.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Neighbors. I am also a host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bet if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Tuesday. Transfer portal baby. Holy cow, has it really taken over college football. It gets to the point, I know it's every year, but each and every year it grows substantially. As last I checked, at least at the recording of this podcast, over 25% of college football players of major Division I have entered into the transfer portal. It's wild times. Not necessarily surprising, considering that a lot of these players who are backups or true freshmen that see the writing on the wall, or maybe coaches who have talked to these players and are processing them because they're just not going to be good enough to play. It's the things that are going to happen. But what's not really ideal for anybody to have happen is what's happening to the Razorback team right now. I was going to say just defense, but it's really everybody. Monday was the first day officially that the transfer portal opened up. And we all kind of had an idea of some of the players that were entering their names into there. We have talked about them at least on this podcast. But you had quite a few players, and especially ones of significance, hit. Dylan Has, the brother of Luke Has, entered into the transfer portal. He's a safety. The biggest ones and the most crazy ones were the Metcalf brothers, both of them. TJ Metcalf, as well as Tevis Metcalf. One the safety, one a cornerback. Both of them entered into the portal. Linebacker Caden Henley also entered into the transfer portal, which he was, again, a linebacker still on the defensive side of the ball, and it was pretty crazy there. But also the latest, too, is Selman Bridges, a cornerback. He was a freshman this past year, and he was also the number 14 cornerback in the 2024 class. He has hit the portal. That on top of, it seems like everybody else, Jalen Braxton hitting the portal as well. This secondary is depleted beyond belief. I made the joke in the open of, hey, you may have to play in the secondary for the Razorback defense. I don't know who they're going to have. You got Hudson Clark, Marquise Robinson Cuddy, but other than that, it's pretty thin. It's pretty thin right now. And I am just at a loss. All right. I'm not saying that this should be shocking or like, oh my goodness, I never saw this coming. This is wild. But folks, this is a bad time. Okay? This is a bad time. I'm not being dramatic. I'm not being overly dramatic, at least. I'm not trying to stir the pot and stir up negativity, stir up division, stir up anything. I'm just truly approaching you with the reality of what's going on here. Folks, this is not something that's happening at all these other schools. There are programs and schools that do lose players. Over 25% of FBS players are leaving. But the vast majority of those players that are leaving those programs all have reasons, but they normally are just wanting to play somewhere else. They're backups. They didn't get any playing time, whatever it is. That's normal. In this particular case, you're losing starters right and left. And if they aren't bona fide starters, there are players that at least played this season or ones that you are really going to count on to make big, tremendous steps next season and be a contributor for you. Those are the ones that are leaving right now. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that Dylan Has or that was like a huge loss or whatever it is, but I am coming to you and saying, Selman Bridges, that's big. You're someone you were hoping to count on in the secondary. You've lost two of your starting offensive linemen. One of them being extremely gifted in Josh Braun. You know, you've lost Nico Davier. You've lost Isaiah Satania. And the list goes on and on. And the problem is, yeah, is it common? Sure. Amount. But the problem is, if you go to 24/7 Sports or On3 or whoever you use for your transfer portal coverage, it doesn't really show off any player that is interested in you. Maybe one here or there, maybe one's getting an offer, but it doesn't really, like, at least here in the beginning time frame, it doesn't really look like you're getting any big time interest of anybody coming in. Adding into the mix that still no word from Sam Pittman on anything. Adding into the mix of no word from Hunter Yurcheck, none of the assistants, no one. It is silent. Radio silence. This is one of the wildest things I've seen in a while because there's no explanation. There's theory. There's assumptions. We can do that all day long. But there's no direct, bona fide reason that has been given as to why this is happening. And also, there's no and has been no response or feeling of why it's going to be okay, why it won't be a big problem, whatever. There's just nothing. You're a Razorback fan. The only thing you're seeing right now is your phone blows up or you get a notification that a player entered into the transfer portal from Arkansas. For over a week, that's pretty much been it. You had signing day almost a week ago, but that wasn't really anything that's going to move the needle as far as helping you out next season. There's a fine recruiting class, nothing crazy. But since that point in time, it's only been subtractions. Time and time and time and time and time again. Nothing. I played a clip from Sam Pittman at the teleconference there for the Liberty Bowl. Nothing was talked about. Nothing could be asked, but nothing was talked about. This is just a thing that, again, I'm not saying it just for my sake. I'm talking about, I've discussed this with national recruiting guys. I've discussed it with people who are national college football experts, like all of this. It's not just, here in the state of Arkansas. No, everyone's seeing this and be like, oh, geez, what is going on over there at the Razorback football program? Everyone's bouncing. Everyone's leaving. The secondary is one of the most ridiculous things where they don't have anybody that's going to be available. Meanwhile, Sam Pittman's recovering from his surgery, can barely walk. If he can walk, he has to have a walker. What is happening? And if you're a Razorback fan, how does anyone feel good about this? They'll get additions from the portal, sure. But there's just been nothing from anybody on anything. The only thing that we've heard is out about people leaving. Had a couple of returnees that were key. Cam Ball, Xavion Sorey. That was a week ago. But since that point, it's just been boom, 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 boom. And is it going to end? Is this going to be it? Is this going to be the final time that we have to talk about some major subtractions to the Razorback football team? I have my doubts. I feel like there might be more. But I'm just frustrated. I am. And it's not just like directing all my frustrations to Sam Pittman. I know a lot of you do, and he's the head coach. I get it. I'm frustrated with everything. In the entire situation of what Arkansas is having as a football program, and in some cases the athletic department, I'm frustrated by it. Because it seems like there's just, I'll put it this way. If you're somebody who follows politics, or if you're somebody who follows businesses and whatnot, if you take the sports element and the Razorback element out of it, and you just look at the facts of what's going on and saying, hey, this thing that you follow, that you care about a lot, there's been a lot of people jumping ship. And nobody's saying anything about it. Management, the executive officers, nobody's saying anything about it. A lot of doubts have been there as far as them liking the job that they've done. But it's happening. Do you look at that and say, oh, no, it's going to be fine. They'll replace those people that are leaving with just as good, if not better people? No. You look at it and be like, dude, what is happening? And there lies the issue. I can understand if some coaches and programs or whoever will come out and say, hey, I don't like the negativity. I don't like the things being talked about or being said that aren't true because it hurts us in recruiting. I know Sam Pittman's talked about this, and I even agree. But you have put all Razorback fans into a situation because your lack of communication on everything. You have put them in a position to where they're not stupid. You're not stupid. You see everyone leaving and nothing being done about it. You see it's bad. There's problems inside the program. And there is nothing that you can say whenever you do say it that will convince me otherwise right now. This isn't good. This isn't a program that seems to have its things together. It seems like a program that's chaos inside and nobody wants to be a part of it right now. That's what it looks like. I'd love to hear otherwise. I'd love to hear from somebody of note, somebody in position to say, hey, I get it. This is going on. Let's do, this is what our plan is, blah, 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 whatever it is. Give everyone something instead of just, well, you don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it. It's fine. No, it's not. Folks, this is scary. It's a scary situation. And Razorback fans, I got people texting me all the time. It's like, hey, man, what's going on over there? My response has been the same. I wish I knew. I wish I knew. But whatever it is, it's not good. It's not good. We'll see what the rest of the days here this week at least hold. But hopefully we hear something. We'll talk a little bit, though, about players entering into the portal in college football in general, but also Arkansas here in just a second. So stay with us on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, all you Razorback fans out there, I know that you are all excited about all the things going on with the NFL. You got college football bowl games, college football playoff, got college basketball going on and everything, and you want to make some money. Well, do it with the America's #1 sports book, which is FanDuel, of course. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place your live bets all in one place on NFL, college football, college basketball, all of it. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your live bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Again, this is just a weird time if you're a Razorback fan in football. But the portal, which is what's going on hot and heavy right now, it's still new. But we've seen it after a few years now of kind of what it consists of. And the question that always gets posed is this have to, when players are leaving, because we'll start there, because players being added hasn't started up yet. It will. But where it's at right now, players leaving, what is it about? What is the reasons behind it? People don't like the transfer portal overall. However, it's part of the game. And we're just going to have to live with it unless other sort of legislation or something gets put into place from the NCAA. So is it simply just, going out to get a bag in NIL? Or is it simply not playing enough? Or is it trying to jump off the Titanic while it sinks from the current program, find something else? Or is it somebody getting told to leave? There's a lot of different reasons and different options. And I don't think that you can just blanket statement across the board and say, well, this is the main reason why everyone's leaving. There could be generally speaking, an overwhelming reason, but everyone's got their own ideas behind it. But with Arkansas right now, I don't think it's just a simple NIL thing. I've been told by people I trust that the NIL has gotten better since a year ago. How much better? It's yet to be determined. But it got better since a year ago. And with some of these players that are leaving, could you do without them? Sure. But when you're losing them at the large clip that you are, and if my calculations are correct, it's about 7 starters at this point in time that you've lost to the transfer portal. Has it simply been these players coming to Pittman or whoever saying, I need more NIL, and being told no, and then hitting the portal to see what happens? Maybe so. But as much as you can despise NIL, which I can get understanding at some points, I mean, there's some major issues with it. As much as you hate NIL, as much as you think it needs to be fixed, all of that, it drives some. It drives some, and it may even drive most. But to me, there is still an element of kids in this particular day and age who are still football players who still want to win. They want to develop. They want to play. And they want to win. They want to be a part of a winning program. And there's a lot of places that are winning but may not have the largest NIL, but certain players may take, I won't call it a cut, but may go to those places without needing or demanding as much NIL as what they would get somewhere else. Here's an example for you. I'm just going to throw a school out there. Say if Purdue or Northwestern, something like that, school has been struggling a little bit. They go to a player, big-time quarterback, and say, hey, we're going to pay you $1 million to be our quarterback. He says, okay. And then a place like Georgia, LSU, Texas, Alabama, whoever, big-time programs, come to that same player and said, hey, we're going to pay you $500,000 to be our quarterback. Look at both situations. Sure, you get more money, double the money, 7 figures by going to a place like Northwestern. But are you set up for success there? Yeah, the money's nice. But can you win? Can you develop? Can you get to the next level, get to the NFL? Can you do something like that? Not right now, not currently. At least not as much as what it would be at these other schools that are paying you half the price. And a lot of players, in fact, most of the players may look at that and be like, I can deal with taking half the money if it comes with another payoff in the long term by me going to a big time school where I can win, I can compete, and I can get to that next level. Or there's some players that may even take the approach of, yeah, I'll go to Northwestern and give it a try for $1 million, but if it doesn't work out, I'll just transfer. Could be that too. The point is that NIL is huge, but it's not the number one know-all, end-all, be-all for everyone. You still got to win. You still got to show some success. And if you want to have a successful portal, you have to be able to have one or the other, at least way up there. You either need to have major NIL money to spend, or you got to have major winning. It'd be nice to have both, wouldn't it? But you got to have one or the other to at least compete, to at least throw it out there and pitch it to people. Because I'm telling you right now, Mississippi State, terrible team this past season. The worst team in the SEC. They have a killing in NIL right now. And they are going to make a huge splash in the portal. Makes sense, and it's fine. But you got to have something to offer to people. Because if you don't have major NIL, and if you don't have major winning to go along with it and developing, what do you got? Not much of anything. It's sad, but it's true. Arkansas, once again, is in a weird position just because we don't know. We don't know what they're dealing with. I would love nothing more than Razorbacks football to hit the portal and have a big-time explosion of great players coming. I would love nothing more. I hope it happens. But right now, where it stands, folks, I just have a hard time believing and feeling confident that that is going to be what happens. Talk a little bit about JaQuinden Jackson. We do have an update on him, and we'll get to that and more on the other side of the break. So stay with us on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, it is that time of year. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. It's guaranteed perfection in every single bite, and right now, you can save on unforgettable gifts with 50% off statewide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, you can score an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience, and the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages featuring gourmet favorites. From legendary steaks to mouthwatering desserts and so much more, save 50% off site-wide for a limited time at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. Minimum purchases may apply. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Big congratulations as JaQuinden Jackson, the running back for Arkansas, has officially accepted an invitation to the East-West Shrine Bowl, the 100th East-West Shrine Bowl. It's been around a long time. That's going to be taking place on January 30th, 2025 at AT&T Stadium. It's also going to be on the NFL Network. But a major honor for him as he's going to try to take his next step. It's crazy to think that he had actually a year to come back if he wanted to, because he only played, I think, 3 games in one of the seasons that he had. So the opportunity, at least, would have come if he wanted to return to Arkansas. But by accepting the invite to the Shrine Bowl, his college eligibility is going to be foregoed. And so he's going to try to go to the NFL. He had 149 carries or 790 yards and 15 rushing touchdowns. It is unfortunate because he was injured a lot. That's just how he played. I know we talked about it with the physicality that he had, and it was great to watch, and it was fun to watch. But at some point in time, you felt like, man, is this guy going to be durable enough to take on some of these hits and some of this physicality of the SEC? And I think it really got to him. I loved watching him play, though. When he was at full health, he was as good as anybody at the running back position. And so just hate to see that happen and where he's having to move on and go. And wish him nothing but the best, of course. And hopefully he has a long career in major football, but he's not going to be around. But I will say, JaQuinden Jackson, nobody wants to talk about much positive stuff here, and I understand. But I do want to throw a little bit of positivity the way, and speaking of about JaQuinden Jackson, running backs are just such a anomaly now. I mean, you have Ashton Jeanty over at Boise State, and on occasion you'll have some other ones pop up, but the running back position just ain't what it used to be. Sometimes I laugh when I think of either like War Machine or somebody posting highlights of old Razorback games or stat lines and box scores, and I think back to Darren McFadden, the GOAT, the greatest of all time at Arkansas, and seeing some of the stats that he had. I mean, unreal with yardage and all that, but there were times he carried the ball over 30 times a game, actually fairly often. Now, Felix Jones carried the ball some. Peyton Hillis carried the ball some too. But McFadden, that's a lot. That is a ton when you think about it nowadays. I mean, anytime a player has over 30 carries as a single running back, it's either one, a quarterback because they got sacked a lot or they're just that dual threat type player, or it went to like 9 overtimes. Something like that. But running backs are just such a tough position to really find the greatness that it once was, but it's still valuable. There's still needs for them, obviously. And JaQuinden Jackson, when healthy, because that is the key, when healthy, I think that he can truly be a player that could have some run there in the NFL. I think that because the speed that he has, the confidence and the swagger that he has, the experience that he has, yeah, that's pretty big time. And so I'm going to remember him fondly. I know some people may have a certain feeling about him, but I liked him. I thought he did a great job at Arkansas, and I really, truly wish him nothing but the best moving forward. So Arkansas is having to really see what they're going to be doing. And this is every position, it seems like, but running back's another one. You got to make sure that you keep Braylon Russell. I know people have been talking about the possibilities of what it could become when it comes to him entering into the portal or not. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he has. I'm not saying that I know that he will. Just all bets are off at this point with Razorback football. I'm not guaranteeing anybody staying next season at this rate. But your running back room was already going to be a little bit of a hit there with JaQuinden Jackson leaving. But now it's really, really thin. You got Rashad Dubinion, you got Braylon Russell, assuming he stays, and you got Rodney Hill. But you're going to need a lot more than that. This roster is going to look wild for the Liberty Bowl. They may have to have some people play Iron Man ball, have wide receivers go out there and play secondary, and defensive ends play tight end at this point. Because boy, oh boy, that's what it looks like right now. Either way. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching into Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Neighbors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have, and we'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.